It doesn't matter.
None of this matters.
Hey everybody, welcome to another Schlender 5 Productions. I'm joined by my buddy Lance, and we were discussing just back and forth, texting each other about maybe doing some things a little more video game centric. A lot of us, we watch movies and TVs, and that's fun to talk about. But especially with like Lance, he and I are kind of the only ones who still play games, like to an extent, and he plays games even more than I do. And I think you were just telling me you've beaten how many games over the last 3 years?
I was trying to do 100 games a year.
100 games a year.
I did 314 in 3 years.
Oh my God, that's a lot. So we were, like I said, we were discussing trying to get together, talk maybe some video games. I just bought a green screen, as a lot of you probably saw in the Trailer Trash series. So I'll get a capture card at some point, and then we'll do like playthroughs or something like that, and we'll be able to, capture that and put that on the green screen. But I figured a good place to start here would just be kind of like some of the rundown of our expectations from video games, like a little bit of our history of them, some fond memories, just fun stuff, and then as we go on, talk about like all this will just be edited out. We'll just start fresh.
So, what is your first memory of gaming that you can think of that it was like, wow, I love to play video games? Maybe just the first game you ever played.
Well, I remember we had a Nintendo growing up. We had one pretty early on. I used to have an aunt that was a pretty big adopter of video games, and she always tried to make sure we had like games to play. And I remember actually my father got pretty good at the original like Super Mario Brothers, just the first one. And he used to do like the shell gimmick where you kept racking up points and racking up lives. And I remember trying to I can do that. Only I couldn't because I was very young. So I think from that point forward, it put a little bit of that like, okay, there's other things to do in this game other than just like get to the end of the map. So for me, it really was quite early that I took an interest in them. What about you?
Well, I was going to say, fun fact about the first Super Mario Brothers, but did you realize that the first Goomba that you ever encounter has killed more people? It has the highest kill count of a person's death in a video game than any other game.
I can understand that. All the people who didn't know they were supposed to jump.
Yep, he has gave more people lost lives than any other game character in any other system to date.
That's fantastic.
Isn't that cool? I thought it was neat.
Yeah, so Nintendo.
I still die to him sometimes. If I'm just like,
Yeah, Nintendo was a big one. We didn't have a ton of games. We had the Power Pad, so that was kind of fun playing like the track and field games.
Did you mistakenly throw away the $10,000 track and field demo that you could have had?
No, I don't think so. We had the Super Mario, and I don't even know if it was a Mario and Duck Hunt combo. I can't remember. Those ones. It probably was.
Another stupid fact did you see recently that this whole time you could play 2-player Duck Hunt? Like someone could be using a controller and flying the duck while you shot the duck?
No.
I'm not kidding. Like this is like breaking news 30, 40 years later. It's always been 2-player.
That's
Duck Hunt.
We'll have to try that out. We'll have to look it up. If that's true, that's insane.
Yeah, you just play as the duck.
How have I never heard of this?
I know, nobody ever has. That's why it made like such big sensation news. Like
that's crazy, man.
It's in the. I guess it's in the pamphlet when you get the game.
Oh,
so that's right there.
If it's true, I'll put a graphic up. So that's crazy. So Nintendo kind of got us really big into gaming, but really, like in terms of like owning it and doing like creative things with video games, Super Nintendo is what really locked me in.
Love Super Nintendo.
Like I said, we had a couple cool Nintendo games, and I was always kind of like pursuing my dad's scores on those. And so when Super Nintendo happened, that was kind of like my jump, where like I understood them now more than he could. And they had some fantastic games. It didn't hurt that a childhood friend of mine, their parents owned a local video store, and so they got like demo cartridges for everything. Ooh. And so I used to go over like Mega Man X at my buddy's house. We played Mega Man and just tried to find it. Super Metroid. We used to try and do a bunch of that stuff. So so I would say as much as Nintendo was like the thing that got me interested, it was Super Nintendo that really, I was like, okay, I'm gonna play video games forever now.
I got hooked from the get-go. my parents brought me home a Game Boy. And I had 2 games, Tetris, which I think it came with,
Nice.
and Super Mario Land. And I can't tell you how many times I beat both of those games. And I fell in love just from there. And I never really owned many other consoles. We didn't really have, I couldn't really afford them.
Right.
But
we always got them as gifts.
yeah, I was maybe lucky to go over someone's house to play them. But if I was, man, I wanted to play them. Rock that Game Boy forever, though.
I had a Game Gear, which I thought it was so cool until like you play it for 20 minutes and have to replace 6 batteries.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. You think of how many AA's are dead out there in the world because of
that.
the Game Gear.
Yeah. No. And I had a friend in school who had one too, so we were excited because we were like, "Oh man, we both got Game Gears. Like we can take them on field trips. Like
We can play for the first 10 minutes on the bus."
yeah. I was like, well, what do I do now? No. Good times. Good times.
They made a Game Gear. I mean, it might be a knockoff, but they actually use Sega Genesis cartridges. Game Gear too.
I always kind of wanted to get the TV antenna for the Game Gear because then I thought it'd be cool to have like a very small portable TV.
They did have something like that, didn't they?
This optional TV tuner turns Game Gear into a color TV.
But then, it just wasn't as efficient if you had just bought an actual portable TV. Like, those were better than the Game Gear adapters.
Yeah.
I only had a few games for it. Like, everybody had Sonic.
Everyone has.
I had a Jurassic Park game that was like a 2D platformer.
I remember that.
So that was interesting.
Streets of Rage was a big one on the Game Gear too.
I don't think I've ever completed a Streets of Rage game.
If I brought my Sega Mini, we could.
I have my Sega Mini.
Yeah. It's got Streets of Rage 2 on it, I'm pretty sure, right?
So doesn't Nintendo's Virtual Console now have it as well? The Switch Online, I think so.
Yeah,
if
it
you
does.
did the thing,
It does. I think. Oh my God, Streets of Rage. Those beat 'em ups in general, were fantastic, especially playing with somebody else. Except the ones that had, if you could hit each other,
what is
friendly fire?
I never.
I
liked that.
hated that because half the time it's hard enough. The AI in the game is going to hit you whether you're good enough or not. So it's like I got to hit my buddy and lose his health too at the same time.
This is a bit
made
of
it harder, I guess.
This is a bit of a tangent, but we're talking about friendly fire. Did you ever play Helldivers?
No, yeah,
man.
a little bit. I couldn't get into it.
You could do friendly fire in that, but it oftentimes happened hilariously and incidentally, it's like, get out of my laser beam, things like that. But we were playing it and we had to pop smoke for the drop ship or whatever it was. You had to get to that. And my buddy runs up and he's just standing on the point. And I was like, we have friendly fire. Like that drop ship, if it lands, it's going to kill you. Yeah. And he's like, it'll be fine.
Boom.
Got him. And we laughed so hard at him. That was wonderful. One of the things I really wanted to talk about, though, is specific genres of games. Like I had mentioned earlier, it's like our expectations, things we like about them, things we dislike about them. Maybe a little more analytical as opposed to our more narrative-based conversations that we end up with, like we just did. It's just one thing leads to another thing leads to another thing. Are there any genres of games in particular that is your favorite? Would you say?
That's a difficult question because I'm all over the board. I'll play everything except for racing games, and majority of real sports games. They're the same thing every year. But platformers, I would say, is my go-to.
Really?
Want to play, and the more upscaled, difficult platformers is what I kind of lean towards.
Do you have a specific one that you're really late? Because I know you were talking a lot about playing the classic games. Lots of platformers on classic consoles.
Absolutely. Lately, I think some of the best platformer games I played were maybe Cyber Ninja. That game was just amazing. It was very difficult. It was almost like a Shinobi style, for Nintendo, but brutally difficult.
All right.
Another one was Hollow Knight. That was a great platformer, high level of difficulty. The visuals were just amazing. Not much story, which I don't like anyways. I mean, there's story in these games, but it's you almost have to go on the internet and read about it. They don't even present the story in the game. They're hoping you like it enough that you want to actually explore outside the game the story.
Stuff like that. All right, so I'm a little bit more into like narratives than Lance is, and like I platformers for me, this new revival of like incredibly difficult one hit you're dead, count the number, like the Ori games.
Loved Ori.
They're
Both of them.
They look great and they play fun, but like the idea that if you miss like one fraction of a thing, that's it. Or like Celeste. I was enjoying Celeste, but it gets to the point then where I find like as challenging as it is, I stopped feeling rewarded for the challenge. And I felt like I was just doing the same thing over and over again, and I wasn't quite getting the level of satisfaction out of doing it. Whether the stages went on too long or the secrets were like so like tucked away. And I suppose if I were more patient with that kind of style of game, I would like that.
Yeah, you need to have patience. Like sometimes there's like you gotta like perfectly hit the button 40 times and like while guiding the person. Like that's what I like. Give me something really hard. Yeah. Like I like to play Mario Maker 2 and just find ridiculously hard levels and try to beat them.
See, I've kind of gone the other way because I used to really enjoy the challenge of the platformers when I was younger. And of course, it all comes down to the most important aspect of any platformer. It controls, and like especially controls, level design close second. You could have awesome level design, but if your character moves like a tank, terrible game.
Yeah,
and you can have the most basic, like we were saying, like the Mario Makers are like Celeste or Ori. They're very simple in their level design, but the controls are very tight.
Yeah, there's usually, Ori is, you have so many abilities, but literally it's still just like a 3-button game.
It's a 3-button game, and it's very much like a Metroidvania style.
Absolutely, I love that.
And are those even considered a genre unto themselves now?
Metroidvania, absolutely.
Yeah, I would say, but I think they technically probably qualify as platformers more.
They are platformer, but it's still the premise of you can't proceed. Everything is available in one map, but you cannot go to those sections of the map without unlocking something to get to those. So yeah, that's its own genre.
So I used to enjoy that level of challenge in platformers. Like I said, controls, level design, stuff like that. Story, not that important in platformers overall.
No, there's usually,
But I used to...
Save the princess.
Now when I play a platformer, I'm looking for something that like, I don't have to sit there and be like laser focused on. For me, like platformers are almost now kind of like a good beer and pretzel platformer is what I like. Like the Kirby games. I like the Kirby games because they're super easy. Like they're relaxing to me.
If it's leisure,
yeah. Platformers for me are more. I find them to be more leisurely kind of game styling for me now. Those hardcore platform things. I'm like I don't want to be stressed.
I'm able to cool myself down enough that the controllers have not been whipped against the wall many times through like Cyber Shadow. I'm sorry,
Cyber Shadow.
Or there's some stupid shit out there, and it's like when you do finally do it, you're just like
it's just I understand like challenging but for me when I play a platformer, I'm not really looking for anything too challenging. I'm really more so looking for something like I can kind of put my feet up and just kind of relax, which is why the older ones I like the Spyro games. I enjoyed those because they're kind of simple.
That's one of the trilogies I never had a PlayStation 1, and I don't think any other Spyro that was like good came out on any other system. I think they were all PS1.
They were all PlayStations, yeah.
And I never really owned a PS1.
So, like I said, it's probably because I played some of those, and then Mario 64, which was challenging in its own right, but also
a gem.
But it's also it was relaxing, it was fun, and your objectives were very clear, very short. Like I wasn't doing long missions that were exceedingly difficult.
For 1 star.
Right, for 1 star. Yeah. It's the same reward you get for an easy mission is the same you get for a hard mission. Mm-hmm. And as much as I like Celeste, I just found why am I working this hard? I like the game, but I'm not getting that much out of it other than frustration. And then I kind of hit that point with Ori as well. As much as I wanted to continue, I just kind of I hit that point where it's okay, well, I'm dead, and now I need to respawn again. And it's maybe you should just get better. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I should, but I'm not playing the game to ace it. I wasn't. I'm not going to sit there and sink that amount of time. Plus, I was playing it on the Switch, so it was
yeah. Well, sometimes I like to, Ori should have been played on a TV.
Yeah.
Because some of those times.
I did put it on the TV.
It was big, like that big frog monster. That was like the friendly. Where he would, in those scenes where you'd get chased, and like that was kind of meant for like a big experience. But,
Yeah,
I
got the.
I like doing handheld too.
It was just neat that I could walk around with it, and yeah, platformers for me. More, I got to get that new Kirby game. Like I just got to do that. Something casual and fun for me.
Yeah, I'm leery on new Kirby's. I mean, I love like Kirby's Dreamland, like for Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. Kirby Superstar, all-time classic.
Yeah, anything pre SNES is gold. After that, it was kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
They're like,
I like Kirby Star Allies on the Switch. It's fun. It's a nice co-op thing. I can play with my niece and nephew, and because it's real simple. And so things like
it's real simple.
Yeah. Well, but that's what I said. When it comes to platforms,
you'd have to like work to die in that game.
This is a true story, but we were playing it, and I ran to go collect like something, and Kirby just ran right underneath the. It was like a puzzle piece, and I just ran to go get it. I ran right under it. And my niece, who was playing, like, I think she was like the chef at that point, just walks right into it. And I was like, okay. And then like 30 minutes later, the same thing happened. Kirby just ran right through the thing, and then she was able to collect it using like her extendable spatula. And I was like, well, this is just ridiculous. Like, I'm turning this game off. Now I'm upset.
Kirby is actually still my go-to Smash Brothers character. I don't know, who would you, if you had to like go against me right now in Smash, who would you pick? From Ultimate.
Oh, without
anybody.
Without a doubt.